Okay, fine.
Comes and goes on a rainbow. Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, he's Michael Snyder. All right, now I can begin.
Well,
how about you,
dude?
Culture
I just want to
Blast?
tell you before we get going.
Yes,
I was
sir.
on eBay yesterday, and lo and behold, I found an "I Support Clarence Thomas" T-shirt listed under nutty memorabilia.
All right.
We should get to the movies.
He always comes in with something topical.
Yeah, well,
That's
you got to stay ahead of the news.
All right.
Or make some of your own, as we used to say on the radio. All right, a number of years ago,
I don't want you to think just because we're going to run long that you can pad your part. Let's keep it at a brisk pace.
I thought that was pretty direct. No more.
No, I
topical
liked it.
stuff.
Yeah, you didn't do it. You went right into it. I just want you to know from this point forward, let's keep it going.
We do what we have to. A number of years ago, the Ready for Anything actor Nicolas Cage starred in a weird indie movie about an unhinged suit who thinks he's a vampire. It's called Vampire's Kiss, and I thought it was pretty idiotic when I saw it, although I did laugh at one scene where Cage's character tries to reveal his true self to someone on the phone while wearing plastic vampire teeth and shouting, "I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!" Because, with the plastic teeth. And this brings us to Renfield, which is a horror comedy marked by over-the-top, cartoony gore, and a truly hysterical turn by Cage as the immortal Count Dracula that leaves no piece of scenery unmarked by fangs, not an iota.
Right.
In large part, it's about Dracula's servant, Renfield, played by Nicholas Hoult. Renfield is the guy who watches Drax's coffin by day and finds the Count victims to drain of blood by night. It's an unhealthy relationship for sure, making for a movie about codependency done in the framework of a satirical update of a classic Universal Pictures monster, Dracula. Anyway, the vampire and his slave are in the perfect place for this sort of thing, New Orleans. Renfield decides at this point, after years and years and years of serving the Count, he wants out, and he even goes to a church 12-step type support group to do this, But Dracula, healing from a recent brush with eternal death, needs blood, and the bodies start piling up. This brings, of all people, Awkwafina into the picture as a policewoman who wants to bring down the local mob led by a canny boss lady played by Shura Agdashlu, one of the most renowned actresses working in the business, with Ben Schwartz from all those sitcoms as her hot-headed son. So cops, mobsters, the ultimate vampire, needless to say, the arteries gush. At times, Chris McKay directs Renfield like he's orchestrating a riot, and in some ways he is. The action scenes are heavy on the splatter, but they kind of rock, and most of the jokes, verbal and visual, land where they should. So Hout as the luckless Renfield, who gets a bit of Dracula's strength in a rather icky way that I won't go into, has a bit of the stammering charm of a young Hugh Grant. And Awkwafina has her snark in full effect, but it's the uncaged Cage who really sinks his teeth into the sinister and campy role that he was clearly born to play. Renfield is in high art. It is bloody fun and in theaters now.
Wow. It sounds good.
Yeah, except I don't recommend you watch because there's beheadings and gore and splatter.
But you said it's kind of almost cartoonish, which is better for me.
It is. Nonetheless, I feel like...
I don't like real...
I know how queasy you get at even hearing my reviews, Mark. So anyway, speaking of criminal behavior... Mafia Mama is a pastiche of Italian gangster cliches.
Pastiche is a ding word.
With an undercurrent of female empowerment. To its credit, it takes advantage of two superb actresses, Toni Collette and Monica Bellucci, and sets them adrift in a mob war setting where they eventually sink. And here's how. Hapless American housewife and mother, Collette, whose marriage is crumbling, is enjoined to attend her grandfather's funeral in Italy, where the old man's most trusted advisor, Bellucci, reveals that he was the don of a powerful mafia family and left the housewife in charge as his next of kin. So cue fish out of water hijinks, as well as plenty of that old standby, the dowdy, innocent suburban mom goes to romantic Italia and is wooed by a Latin lover. Look, Mafia Mama has a few moments. It does. But most of them come from watching Collette try to wring some charm out of the heavy-handed script or just watching the glorious Bellucci, one of the world's great beauties, doing her thing. But there are too few of those moments to save this from being a potential hit gone wrong.
Oh, that's too bad. Those are such, as you say, such talented actors there.
Well, look, it's directed in competent fashion by Catherine Hardwicke, who has made some decent movies in the past, and Twilight. Anyway, as for the screenwriters, they might consider going into witness protection. Mafia Mama is in theaters.
Wow, you really didn't like it. I mean,
what the hell is going on in the United States of America?
It had its moments. All right, let's go off the beaten track. Let's go to Norway.
No?
Sick of Myself is an apt title for a movie about a young woman so desperate for attention that she'll risk her health and well-being. It's actually a Scandinavian satire of the modern need to be seen and admired.
I love this premise. Oh my God, tell me this is a good movie.
It's written and directed by Christopher Borge. I think
probably some Norwegian name you can't pronounce anyway.
Christopher Borgli.
Okay.
And it's darkly funny until it turns downright grotesque and repellent. And yet it had me riveted in that, have to stare at an accident as you drive by way, that? So Signe and Thomas are an Oslo, Norway couple of questionable virtue in one of those destructive relationships wherein they battle for the admiration of others. It's like tit for tat, So when his career as an artist starts to gain a little traction and people start lavishing praise on him, her thankless job at a cafe pales by comparison. So she makes a radical decision that certainly changes her life and gets her noticed, and not in a good way. Sick of Myself takes aim at a culture kind of overwhelmed by that need to be seen on social media, to the point where there are those who willingly make a spectacle of themselves, which often ain't a pretty picture. And neither is Sick of Myself, although there's pointed humor and some fitful laughs. I thought it was successful at what it tried to do. I just think it's going to be a little off-putting to some people. But Kristen Kuja-Thorpe is fearless and compelling as Signe. She's kind of a reason to watch the movie, although as the central figure and what she does to herself, yikes. Anyway, it's in select theaters starting today. What are you curious about?
On balance, is the grotesque, repellent part winning out over the interesting and you felt sort of solid part of the film? Like, in other words, it sounded to me like there was a qualified yes to check it out.
She does something to herself that is kind of upsetting, and they really deliver it using the proper filmic techniques and
could I take this, Michael, or it will be too heavy for me?
I think it might be a little on the heavy side, but check out the trailer. Maybe that'll answer your question for you.
All right, moving on.
All right, Kelly Reichardt is a rather idiosyncratic filmmaker.
I'll ding it.
Whose work, often made on a small budget, generally impresses me. For instance, I really loved her previous movie, First Cow, which concerns an encampment of fur trappers in the Pacific Northwest during the 1820s and what happens when the richest guy in the area brings in a highly prized cow, and it causes all kinds of trouble.
Wow, what an idea for a movie.
And it's beautifully executed. So Reichardt has teamed up with actress Michelle Williams on a number of occasions. Wendy and Lucy, the modern road trip flick about a drifter and her beloved dog, and Meek's Cutoff, which is settlers in peril in the 1840s. The latest collaboration between them is Showing Up, which is a quiet contemporary dramedy about Lizzie, a sculptor. She's a sculptor, and she's part of a community of artists in Portland, Oregon, and she's struggling to complete a bunch of pieces for a new show. So she's played by Williams in a very studied, subtle manner that somehow makes the character's turmoil within even more vivid. She's a terrific actor. What can I tell you? Anyway, the angst and the navel-gazing of the creative artist are addressed and lampooned a bit here. Lizzie's life is made more difficult by Joe, her neighbor, landlady and fellow artist, played by the able Hong Chow, so good in The Whale and The Menu. And this character asks favors of Lizzie, but doesn't seem too interested in reciprocating. Again, self-regard. And meanwhile, Lizzie's father, who is a ceramicist, played by Judd Hirsch, is also heedless of other people's needs, while her brother's emotional problems seem to be coming to a head. So considering how all the people in Showing Up behave towards one another, including Lizzie, I think a better title might have been Passive Aggression PDX. I mean, it really... Williams was the best thing about The Fabelmans as the mom in the family, and she's also breathtakingly good in Manchester by the Sea and previous movies with Reichert, and she is in top form here, even if showing up is somewhat low-key when compared to First Cow. It is in theaters, and it'll be a good watch at home, I'm almost certain.
Wow, okay. That, my friend, is a wrap, unless you have one more quickie, because
Well, I'll tell you what. I just want to quickly mention a TV show that has ramped up and I'm really enjoying a lot. And it's kind of midway through its run. It's one of those streaming shows that they dole out, in bits because they're so, desperate to keep you coming back for more. It's almost like those algorithm things that say, if you like this, you're going to like this. And the show is called Rabbit Hole. And I don't know if you've heard about it.
I have heard about it. I forget what it's about.
Well, that's my job, Mark, to come in here and tell you what it's about.
Okay, thank you.
And so I will. Rabbit Hole, which is on Paramount Plus, stars Kiefer Sutherland. He's back in action as a cool and callous corporate spy for hire who's framed for murder and has to clear his name or at least evade capture. I believe the same thing happened to his 24 character, Jack Bauer. So you'd think Kiefer would have it all figured out by now. Nope, not yet. Anyway, I do recommend Rabbit Hole for those who like this sort of thing. And, Titans is back for you superhero fanatics, the last half of its final season over on HBO Max.
Quickly check in. Tom, who is the master of what things are being dinged. He says angst is a ding word. He's right about that. There's Rabbit Hole for you to see with reciprocating, he says, is a ding word. I think that is true. Rain Dogs on HBO, Tom wants to know about. Maybe you can check that out for next week.
I'll do what I can. I'm kind of overloaded, baby.
Yeah, we don't play request, Tom. Okay, thank you.
No, but I love the enthusiasm. I do.
No, he'll check it out for you, of course. And heedless that you said, that's a ding word. I thought there was one other thing that you said that was a ding word, and I can't think of what it is now. So let me just quickly run down what you said and what you shared with us, Michael, because I thought your reviews were brisk, bright, and beautiful. Renfield is the vampire-centric offering featuring Nicholas Hoult and Nick Cage, along with Awkwafina. It's spaghetti horror, maybe you'd call it.
True,
it's funny, though, is what you said.
I found it very funny and
I
very
must tell you,
kinetic.
I'm intrigued by this, and it's in theaters, but I may wait and see it when it streams, because I think I'm going to like this, actually.
Right, and you can also then turn it off and run to the loo.
Mafia Mama, the Toni Collette, Monica Bellucci number, you wanted to like.
I did.
Well directed, well acted, but not well written. And so Mafia Mama was Sick of Myself, a satire on the self-absorbed nature of those in social media is what I got from you, Michael.
And oddly enough, they don't do a lot of social media stuff in the movie, but you clearly understand that
that's why she's doing this to herself.
She's just trying to get attention.
It's grotesque and repellent, which I have often been...
and darkly funny.
And darkly funny. Showing Up. That's the thing about The Sculptor in Oregon with Michelle Williams and Hong Chow.
Yeah.
That's in theaters, and you...
It's good. It's a low key
qualified good.
It's
I thought.
low key. It's just it's lovely to watch them work, and it's very, very. It's as studied as observing a painting or sculpture in a museum in some ways.
Wow. Well,
there are pleasures there, Mark.
You dropped in a reference during your time reviewing that movie that actually Showing Up. I'm talking about. That actually intrigued me to go watch this other movie that you referred to, which is First Cow.
Indeed, and I do recommend First Cow, and I did on the Mark Thompson show some time ago.
Well, I can't really remember what you...
we keep it on the move.
Okay,
what he's got going here is
a situation. Michael, nice job again. Congratulations on winning the celebrity bracket along with John Daly and sitting atop Mark's Madness in the celebrity bracket. We hope you'll be back next Friday, Michael. I think we extended our show to accommodate you. I hope you realize that.
I think that you dawdled to have to get to the point where you were extending the show.
How dare you? He comes and goes on a rainbow.
Go Dubs! Go Giants! It's a big weekend, everybody.
Yeah, go Dubs, go Giants. That's never a bad thing to hear. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.